figured out a strategy for Republicans going forward. Let's ask Jonathan Cott, former senior advisor for Democratic Senator Joe Manchin, and Cassie Smedile, sorry, Cassie, a former RNC spokesperson, now with Rising America Political Action Committee. Cassie, let's start with you. And on that question I asked Leland, is Youngkin providing a template here for how to navigate the Trump waters down the road for Republican candidates who aren't necessarily maybe in a deep red MAGA state?
Right. I think win, lose, or draw, he's providing a template for how to make a campaign and run a campaign on the issues that voters care about. And that's something that every candidate should be keenly aware of for his or herself, but to also look at how this is played locally in Virginia and on the national narrative. This race has all been about what voters actually care about: education, safety in their communities, having a say in their child's education, and much less about the national narrative. You've heard McAuliffe say, "I need a win, Democrats. I need Congress to pass these multi-trillion-dollar bills." And in fact, I think he's going to be happy that he doesn't have that win, because that's not what voters want. So again, I think the template going forward for all candidates is to pay attention to what voters are telling you they care about, and then craft your campaign around that.
Jonathan, what about the national narrative? Because there are some who certainly think this is something of a referendum on the White House and the Biden administration. What do you make of how close this apparently is, considering how far ahead McAuliffe was?
I think these races always get close the year after an election, so I don't put a lot of stock in the national narrative. Glenn Youngkin has run a good campaign, so has Terry McAuliffe, but Virginia is a close race. I know Democrats have been winning it statewide in the last decade, but it is still a contested state. I think Terry McAuliffe would have benefited from an infrastructure bill passing. I don't spend a lot of time in Virginia. When I go out there, the roads need fixing. So the metro needs to get much better running out to Dulles Airport. And I think a lot of voters would have been happy if we passed an infrastructure bill that Terry McAuliffe could have campaigned on. And I think Terry McAuliffe and Mark Warner know that better than anybody.
Jonathan, what happens if what does it say if McAuliffe loses?
I think Democrats should sit back and say, okay, he lost. Why did he lose? And yeah, we should have put more wins on the board for the president. We should have passed the China competitiveness bill. We should have passed the infrastructure bill, and that would have given Democrats something to go around and tout as victories, as showing that they can actually responsibly govern instead of just campaigning. And I think that would have helped Terry McAuliffe a lot.
Cassie, he didn't get any of that. To your point, education seems to be the big local issue there. McAuliffe brings in Randy Weingarten. Is that the right closer on this, do you think?
Well, I think McAuliffe certainly took a stand of saying, I'm going to prioritize the person who's in the organizations which are lining my campaign coffers, as opposed to parents and students, which have been telling me over and over, there's a problem in our schools and you're not listening to us. But I would also take the point of Democrats not only had nothing to run on because they've been shown incapable of getting anything done in Congress, but as you see in poll after poll, we saw polls this weekend, we're seeing it in the early exit polls, the issues that Democrats are prioritizing, never before that I can recall have they been more out of step with the issues that voters are saying matter to us.
Like what?
Whether that's having a say in your child's curriculum in school. We know that was a huge turning point and blunder for Terry McAuliffe, but also having a safe community, supporting the people who help keep your community safe, like the police. Also just feeling like you have a community where your kids can roam safely, but also where there's value in your home and your neighborhoods, and you can find the supplies you need on your grocery store shelves. All those things are happening at every kitchen table in the Commonwealth, but also across America. And none of those seem to be the priority of today's national Democrats.
Jonathan, I'll let you hit that if you want. But I also wonder what you think about the president not being here during an election day. I mean, obviously, there's no way to reschedule these climate summits, and ideally he would have been back by now, but the optics on that aren't necessarily good on election night, are they?
I mean, there's an international climate summit that he is the president of the United States. I think he is in the right place where he should be, and I think Terry McAuliffe is doing exactly what he should be doing on election day, is talking directly to voters. I will point out that most of these points that you've said that, you know, Democrats aren't focused on are mostly made-up issues. Like, critical race theory is not being taught in Virginia. Republicans are making that the school choice issue. Terry McAuliffe
having a say in your child's education is not a made-up issue. Parents have
I
spent
believe
the
what
better
he
part
was
of the last
responding
year
to was some.
looking at these
Can I
classrooms.
finish?
Go ahead, Jonathan.
Can I finish?
Finish the point.
critical race theory is a made-up issue that Republicans have capitalized on in Virginia. He was talking about not letting parents come and go, like, start fights at school board meetings. Those parents should be set aside and, provide a better example for the children. So that's not an issue that Democrats are going to focus on. They're going to focus on getting kids back to school safely, teaching them, making sure they're safe in schools, supporting the police. Joe Biden said it famously. He does not support defunding the police. So these are issues that have been somewhat mostly made up by Republicans, and they seem to be doing well on it, but they're not real issues. Democrats are focused on fixing your roads, getting you back to work, making sure you have vaccines, making sure you can go mothers can go back to work and have paid family leave.
All right, but if I may, then why did he bring in as his closing argument one of the people who was most and primarily responsible for keeping kids out of school for an extended period of time, despite the fact that thousands of Virginia families said, wait a minute, why can my next door neighbor who's going to a private school return to school or some hybrid situation? And despite the fact that we let teachers jump the lines to get vaccinated.
I get the point, Cassie. Let me ask him, was she the right closer, Jonathan?
Yeah, Randi Weingarten's been a champion for education for decades. I grew up with her in New York City. She's a great person to come in and tell voters that we're gonna have the backs of teachers and students and schools. That's what Terry McAuliffe is going to stand for. So yeah, she's absolutely a great person to come in at the last minute.
And she's been a champion for keeping kids out of schools, despite the fact that the science said they could go back.
Well, she's been a champion for keeping kids safe.
We're going to leave it at that. I understand, Cassie, you're on with Leland as well in the next hour, so we'll get more from you then. Jonathan Cott. Oh, Randi is. I'm sorry. Randi Weingarten is joining Leland coming up in the next hour. Jonathan Cott, former senior advisor for Democratic Senator Joe Manchin, and Cassie Smedile, executive director for America Rising PAC. Thank you both for your time. We appreciate it. We'll see what happens tonight.
Thank you.
We will be following the governor's races in Virginia and New Jersey throughout the evening here at News Nation. To follow the latest on that, use your phone's camera on that QR code right there.